Hello and a warm welcome to Federal Special Program Capital Beat. President Draupadi Murmu visited the Lord Jagannath Temple in New Delhi on June 20th. And following her visit, there have been reports on social media which spread like wildfire, alleging discrimination by the temple administration. There have been claims that union ministers Dharmendra Pradhan and Ashwini Vaishnav were allowed inside the sanctum sanctorum, but Draupadi Murmu was standing outside the temple. This is what the claims have been. The temple authorities have dismissed the reports as far as discrimination allegations are concerned. They've called it a propaganda. And for the question we are asking, was Draupadi Murmu actually ill-treated by the temple authorities just because she belonged to an indigenous tribe? And the next question we are asking during the course of the show is that, is there a sinister attempt really to spread the lies about President Murmu that she was disallowed by the temple authorities? I'm joined by a special panel, and let me introduce all the guests to you one by one. I have Sriraj Nair, who is the spokesperson from Vishwa Hindu Parishad. Sriraj, thank you so much for joining. We have Sanjay Rana, political analyst and BJP supporter. Thank you, Sanjay. Pushpraj Deshpande, who's the director of Samrid Bharat Foundation, which is a think tank, and he's also the editor of the Penguin India Rethinking series. Thank you, Pushpraj. And we have with us Vivek Deshpande, who's a senior journalist joining us. Vivek, thank you so much for joining. And let me begin with Sriraj today. How true are these allegations that President Murmu was not allowed inside the Jagannath Temple in New Delhi?
See, you yourself in your initial address said that the temple authorities have already denied this kind of allegations. These are all baseless allegations. It is nothing that has happened. But since now we all know the elections for the parliament are going to be held in 2024. The elections are nearing, and there are people who are sick who cannot fight the elections on merit. So they want to create stories. They want to divide Hindus into castes. There is nothing it is the BJP who ensured that Madam Murmu becomes the president, and it is the other way. The people, they pitched in Yashwant Sinha against her, so they never wanted Srimati Murmu to become the president. And now those are the people who are trying to, just for scoring political points, trying to create stories. The temple authorities have already issued a statement which is very clear. I don't want to repeat it, which clearly says there was no discrimination to Madam Murmu, the Honorable President of India, and discrimination, whether it is a president or a common man, there is no discrimination in Hindu temples. This is only a political stunt just to ensure that some kind of division happens in the Hindu community, because Hindus have polarized up to 14 and have been voting en masse, and Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, Sabka Prayas, and all Hindus are one today. And the people, some families who were ruling this nation just by scaring BJP or creating a Hindu-Muslim divide, they are the people who are insecure today. So they want to create some stunt, but they're going to fall flat. This is all bogus. Dr. Murmu Srimati Murmu is the pride of our country. Every individual respects. She's a self-made lady. Everybody respects her. She's a pride. Even rightly said by the Pandas, she's the pride of Orissa, where the temple of Lord Jagannath exists. So this kind of stories are to spread. This is absolutely a fake news, and it is not going to work. They are going to fall flat.
No, but Sriraj Nair, once pictures of Dharmendra Pradhan and Ashwini Vaishnav doing the puja inside the sanctum sanctorum, touching the feet of the idol. If that is true, then the questions are bound to rise that why was President Murmu not allowed? And the question which Dilip Mandal, who's a senior journalist and a political commentator, his tweets have got more than 5 lakh views. And he has said that the pictures say the whole story. So why shouldn't the people not talk about this?
See, how many people use Twitter in this country? And 5 lakh tweets is nothing. And Dilip Mandal is known for anti-Hindu, anti-Sanatan Dharma tweets, and he has been always spreading venom. And but that's not working at all. So this is all frustration. Now the temple authority themselves
You're
have
saying
come
that
out
this
with
is an anti-Hindu propaganda. You're saying that this is an anti-Hindu propaganda.
absolutely anti-Hindu propaganda, and to try, and they're trying to divide Hindus. We respect every Hindu irrespective of his caste background, language background, geographical background. I am also from Kerala. Every Hindu is a Hindu. That's what we believe. This is a stunt to ensure the Hindu votes get divided in the forthcoming elections. That's it.
Okay, okay. Now let me come to Pushparaj. Pushparaj, how do you view this entire controversy of President Murmu disallowed inside the temple with allegations saying that, just because she belongs to an indigenous tribe, the temple authorities have not allowed her? A similar kind of a controversy erupted, if you remember, about 2 or 3 years ago, when President Kovind was not allowed inside. And apparently, then, that story turned out to be fake because apparently the first lady had pain in her knee and she couldn't walk up to the temple. And that is why the president and his wife chose to stay outside. Now, do you think that this is a sinister attempt to malign the image of President Murmu, or there is some substance in the allegations which have been raised in this story? Yes, Pushpraj.
Hi, Neelu, and welcome. I want to say hi to all the other panelists on your show, and of course, your viewers. I want to start with this one slogan that the RSS used to often use: "एक कुआं, एक मंदिर और एक शमशान, हिंदुओं की यही पहचान." That was a famous RSS slogan. It's still used, but in this slogan, they clearly they obfuscate the fact that Dalits, Jains, Buddhists, and OBCs are denied all three. They are denied access to wells, mandirs, as well as shamshans, crematoriums. So let's not obfuscate the ills that exist in society. I'm a practicing Hindu. I pray regularly. I'm a Sattvic by diet. But I don't endorse any practice, even if it is scripturally sanctioned, that undermines the dignity of a human being. Because see, religions exist for humankind, not the other way around. So that's my first comment. The second thing is, there has always been a law of the land, which is the constitution and the laws that exist, and there is a law in the land. Now, the law in the land includes primordial norms that are diagrammatically opposed to the law of the land. Now, casteism, communalism, patriarchy are all such values that the law of the land prohibits. But that doesn't mean that people will organically start subscribing to constitutional values. They do practice regressive values. That's why Dr. Ambedkar famously called democracy a topsoil in India. Now, the point is that I'm not denigrating Hinduism or any religion. What I'm trying to argue is that the law in the land, these primordial values, they take time to evolve. That's the job of leadership, moral and political. It's their job to forge a constitutional consciousness. I'll give you two examples. Sati was widely practiced in India, even after it was banned, thanks to the efforts of Rajaram Mohan Roy and other reformers. People still practice it for decades, saying that this is our culture, this is our tradition. Today, we frown upon Sati. Similarly, even after Mahatma Gandhi was assassinated, there were communal riots constantly happening throughout India, in Ayodhya, in various other places. Pandit Nehru used the first general election to actually make it a campaign issue. So my point is that it requires leadership, not just political leadership, but social leadership, to evolve and slowly prod religions and social values into the right way. Now, what happened with President Murmu is blatantly unconstitutional. It negates everything that we stand for as a modern democracy. But having said that, I want to again emphasize religious cultural norms that enabled this kind of exclusion have to evolve with time, right? We need wisdom and leadership to show society the right path. But today's leadership, unfortunately, exploits fault lines and uses regressive practices to divide and rule. Remember what happened in Sabrimala, and remember what happened with President Kovind, and what happens even with this Hindu-Muslim issue right now. So my point is, it's a very complex issue. It's got a social element to it, and it's got a political element to it.
Okay. Vivek, what would you really say to the controversy? And there are all sorts of reports that one saying that she's an Adivasi, and that is why it's not grammatical to allow a person of an Adivasi tribe to be allowed inside the temple. Then there are rumors also of people saying that since she's a widow, A widow is not supposed to do an auspicious thing like a puja, and that is another reason why she's been disallowed. Now, and people are debunking all this as a mere propaganda. Now, would you just call it a propaganda, or would you really, pick holes in the inclusivity theory of BJP? Because BJP has been claiming that, sabka saath, sabka vikas. But here, what do we see? And what Priya just pointed out, that's a fact of the society. We do see Dalit boys not being allowed inside the temple, not being allowed to use the same well which is used by the Hindus. That's a fact of the society, no matter how much BJP may deny that.
Yeah, I read this story, and I think there are two sides to this story, two perhaps angles to this story, not sides. The first thing is that possibly, if if President Murmu had gone there 45 minutes before this so-called Avahan was scheduled to begin. That is what one of the priests has been quoted as saying in the organizer's story. And I think going by the fact that it's an organizer's story, we can certainly believe that. Now, if she was there 45 minutes before the Avahan began, and we have to believe that, the temple administration must have been informed well in time about the president wanting to visit the temple and offer prayers. Now, if the temple administration knew about it, then, if there was going to be this Avahan and there were going to be two ministers of this government performing the puja, and if the president, presuming that she had made up her mind at the last minute to visit the temple, this was not something which the temple administration knew 15 days prior to this puja and so on, so on and so forth. If the temple administration got to know about it just about a day before, even then, I believe they should have made arrangements for the president to be ushered into the sanctum sanctorum of the temple. Now, if that hasn't happened, then the onus of why she was not allowed inside the sanctum sanctorum lies squarely on the shoulders of the temple administration. But if the temple administration had decided to allow her inside, and if the president had herself preferred to stay out, then the onus lies on the president. In both the cases, I think we are looking at a very, very regressive tradition. Now, if the temple administration did not allow her for some reasons, because she was a widow possibly, or because she belonged to the Adivasi community, then also it's very regressive. And if the president herself has chosen to stay out for reasons best known to her, if she has decided to stay out because she thought it was not in the fitness of the things for her to enter the sanctum sanctorum because she was a widow and because she was an Adivasi, then she is also in a way wetting the age-old regressive traditions. And as the president of India, she doesn't have any right to stand in support through her actions and deeds. She has to uphold the constitutional values. So in either case, if the temple administration has disallowed her and if she has stayed out on her own, in both the cases, I think the constitutional values have been trampled upon and the regressive values have been upheld, either by the temple administration or by the president herself. So in both the cases, I think it's wrong. And if she were to arrive there at the last minute before after the puja had already begun, and then if she would have stayed out, then I can understand. But that is not the case. That what the organizer story says is that she arrived 45 minutes before it. And then there was no reason for the temple administration to not get her into the puja, get her into the sanctum sanctorum. Now, the reason that they are giving is that the puja is certainly performed only by the people who are going to be the chief guests at the Rath Yatra. Now, these two persons, Ashwini Vaishnav and Dharmendra Pradhan, they were slated to be the chief guest at the Rath Yatra. And that is why they were performing the puja, not the president. But are we really following rules and regulations so strictly? Otherwise, in other things, if she had expressed her wish to be at the temple to offer prayers, and if she was, it was her birthday as well, so it was all the more occasion for the temple administration to facilitate her entry into the sanctum. Fine, that she would not perform the puja, but she could have got inside. She could have been allowed inside. If the temple administration has decided to keep her out, it was wrong on their part. If she has decided to stay out herself, it was wrong on her part as well. Because for what reason was she staying out on her own? She has to, and nothing has come out of the Rashtrapati Bhavan after that. So she has to clarify her stand. Why she decided to, she chose to stay out. She has to clarify that. As long as she doesn't clarify, this kind of observations will always be made by people who see this as a very, very regressive thing. So she has to come out with some clarifications to why she chose to stay out, whether she was asked to come inside and yet she decided to stay out. If that is the case, what was the reason for her to stay out? That she has to come out with. The Rashtrapati Bhavan has to come out with that clarification. As long as that doesn't come out, then this all looks so very regressive in every way, possible way. As far as what had happened when Mr. Kovind had visited a temple way back in 2018, fine, his wife could not go up the stairs because she had some problem. But the president could certainly have gone himself, and wife would have stayed back. Why did he not go up and enter the temple? That is another question that raises a lot of other issues concerned with, the Dalit entry into a temple, an Adivasi's entry into a temple, the kind of regressive steps we are still following about temple entries to backward castes. I think all these things will be definitely debated, discussed in view of what has happened in the Jagannath temple on 20th of this month, Nilu.
Okay. Now let me come to Sanjay Rana, and I'm going to take you back to what Amit Shah was chest thumping about. BJP has 52 Dalits, 43 Adivasi MPs in BJP, 113 MP from backward castes, and you say you are doing, your party is doing Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas. Now, what is really happening? And if I may just refer to what Pushparaj and both Vivek have said, either ways, the constitutional propriety has not been respected as far as the President of India is concerned. Taking you back to just what happened when the parliament, the new parliament building was inaugurated, that time also your party insulted President Murmu. Now, this time again, you call it the carelessness of the temple administration. Why couldn't they follow the proprieties? Why couldn't they follow the protocols? And such kind of questions are bound to rise. Why does one always call it a propaganda? Why can't you look at the facts that one does allow situations like these to emerge? Sanjay.
Good afternoon, Nilu. Good afternoon, my fellow panelists. And I hope that you're going to allow me to speak and put forward my point, because I'm going to talk after 15 minutes. Thank you very much. First of all, when you started the discussion, you said you come to know from the social media, a lot of things are going here and there, and 5 lakh views on some Mr. Mandal. You need to understand what we are talking. Here, I understand my fellow panelist who's the advocate, I understand his point is technically put forward the point which is legally right. I appreciate that. When we talk about the other panelists, I'm talking about Mr. Vivek ji. He was not even aware about that the Dharmendra Pradhan and Ashwini Vaishnav visited in Odisha. Draupadi Murmu visited in Hajkas, which is in Delhi. So there is a two different. People need to understand which temple we are talking about. Number one, Draupadi Murmu attended this.
Dharmendra Pradhan himself has given a clarification. If you have read it, he's given an interview to All India. Yes, go ahead.
I don't know from Nilu. I don't know from where you get all this information. I have no. Don't send. I'll give you NI report. Just hang on. Don't send anything on live. This is ANI on Dharmendra Pradhan. Just wait. I'm sharing the details. Meanwhile, I'm just explaining to you. Okay. ANI has given. I also saw the same kind of comment from the BBC and all the Congress leaders. We need to understand what is the fact, what is not the fact. She visited temple on 20th morning, 6:30 a.m. and 8 a.m. she tweeted about the same. So there is a process. Obviously, there is a place where priests are there and they do the puja, and it's depend upon the person, whether it's the president or the normal people or common people, whatever you say, can go inside or cannot go inside. As a senior president of India, she has all the rights to go if she want to go. If she's not insisting to go and she's not gone there, how we make a agenda? How can we can say that priests are not allowed and Mandir committee is not allowed? We do not have any proof about the same. Number two. Number three, when we talk about the constitution, when we talk about the Dalito ko kuएं se pani nahi piyana tha, I am from the village. I keep on visiting village. I live very nearby, hardly 50 kilometers from Noida. I have not seen in my life, at least in 30 years, where people are not allowed to take water from the well, not allowed to go to temple, not allowed to go to any other places. I'll give an example. My grand nani was a widow, okay, and she used to visit all the temple, name any temple she visited, and I've not seen anything on that. So we need to understand what is the fact, what is not fact. If you want to discriminate something, if you want to make an agenda against some party, BJP or whosoever is that, then you can do it. You have all the right to do it. But we should put forward the facts and the figure with the details. Here, the people are not even aware about that. But Dharmen Pradhan visited in Odisha temple. Ashwini Vaishnav visited in Rath Yatra, which was in Odisha. Draupadi Murmu visited in Hoskas Jagannath temple. There's two different temples in two different states. So if anyone is not allowed, do we have any details? No. We have just details from the President House? No. Do we have any media? I'm not talking about BBC. I saw the BBC. Do you have any details on ANI who's really believe in nationality? No report, nothing. Few anti BJP or anti-national, whatever you can call, you name anything, it's all up to you, are saying Draupadi Murmu is not allowed.
Interrupt you for a few seconds. You said you have never heard of any Dalit being denied entry. You are a political commentator. I hope you realize and you know that your own BJP MP, it's a Bharatiya Janata Party MP, MPA Narayan Swamy, who was denied entry to a village temple in Tumakuru by members of a Yadav community, as he is a Dalit. And this was a report which came out in 2019. I'm just giving you one example.
Can you take my counter? Can you take my counter? Can you take my counter?
Yes.
You raise the question and you have the answer. Who stopped them? Yadav community. Who's are Yadavs who believing that? Samajwadi Party. So please do not say that BJP has done anything wrong. BJP is a party. Earlier it was used to call that is upper caste party. All Baniya, Thakur, Rajput and Brahmins. Nowadays, if you look at the BJP complete as a party, 60% are coming from the backward class. There's hardly any upper class, 20, 25% or 30%. So you need to look at, when we talk about the political things, we need to look at all the angles. I'm not saying you should stop criticizing BJP. No, please criticize. But you need to have facts and the figure. We do not know which temple. We do not know whether Draupadi Murmu is insisted to go inside or not, whether she is allowed or not. We don't know anything, and we are debating. And what the contest we are taking, Mr. Mandal tweeted something and 5 lakh views. I tweeted on Atiq Ahmed 12 lakhs views. What does mean? I tweeted something. It was a 12 lakhs views and 50,000 likes and retweets.
No, but
depend upon the situation.
You are saying propaganda, but the constitutional proprieties have been constitutional proprieties have been stepped aside. That you will not agree, but you will agree to the fact that this is a propaganda against the BJP.
Well, let me finish in 30 seconds. First of all the people, those who are living in this country or Hindu, are allowed to go anywhere. What I've given example of my own example, in 30 years, I've not seen in my village. We are very cutter, people call very cutter kind of people. I have not seen anything, discrimination with anyone. I myself, when I was in class 5th standard, I used to go to my what's called super home and used to have a food together. It's my own experience we're talking about. When I was in class 5th. And that my mother was in army, it was totally different portfolio. And the guy who was just working at my home and I went to his home along with his kid and had a food. So I have not seen anything like that in my village as well as in my society. I lived in Assam, I lived in Arunachal Pradesh, I lived in South India, especially in Karnataka. I lived in Odisha. Basically, my father was in army. I'm just giving a background. Nowadays, I'm living in Noida. I'm not seeing. Yes, maybe it was for 50 years back. Might be there. I'm not denying that. But current scenario is absolutely changed. I
Now,
don't see any people.
Let me get in a response. Let me get in a response from Pushpraj and Vivek, and then I'll go to Sriraj. Pushpraj, I want to come to you first. Yeah. Just respond to what Sanjay Rana has said. Yeah.
See, Neeluji, actually, before I respond to Sanjay ji, I have a question for you. Why are you asking the BJP spokesperson to defend what a temple did or didn't do? I mean, do they represent the temple administration? Do they represent Hinduism? No, they don't.
Agree.
I reiterate what I said earlier. Exclusion and discrimination are regressive social ills. Every party, the Congress, BJP, Left, RJD, NCP, Shiv Sena, everyone is responsible to end this by showing leadership. Now, PM Modi famously did this when he said Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao. He did that to end the practice of women not being educated, right?
Sriraj, can you just mute yourself? Sriraj, there's some audio you're talking. You mute. Just mute yourself. Yeah. Go ahead, Pushpa.
Sorry, just to reiterate, PM Modi showed exemplary model leadership when he said Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao, right? Now there is a social ill that is happening. It is our collective responsibility, both the Congress, BJP and other parties, to recognize that there is a social evil and say that this is unconstitutional. So we must end it collectively. That is the first point. The second thing is, something that might happen, may not happen in Noida doesn't mean that it doesn't happen everywhere else, Sanjay ji. There are social ills. Casteism does exist in many places in India. Patriarchy exists. Communalism exists. These are ills that we must politically recognize. We don't know the exact facts of the situation, the circumstances. Let's wait for that. And the thing is that if the temple administration admits that there was a genuine mistake, political parties need to work with them, social leaders need to work with them and tell them that this can't continue, as we need to do with every other social ill. But on the other hand, if it's just a genuine mistake, then we need to take stock and move on from there.
Right. But Vivek, this particular incident, there is no clarification from the President House. The temple authorities themselves have said that this is a propaganda. Now, how will one read this story? And can we just completely dismiss what Dilip Mandal and all the Dalit voices on the social media are talking about? Do we just completely dismiss them? That the union ministers are allowed and President Murmu is standing on the other side of the plank of the Lord Jagannath temple in Delhi? Shall we completely dismiss it and call it a propaganda, as what Sanjay and Sriraj are saying? I'll come to both of you again. Yes, Vivek.
Yeah, Nilu, there's no question of dismissing it, because there is a photograph which is showing that the two ministers are inside and the president is offering her prayers from outside. Now, when it is as clear as that, there has to be some clarification from both the sides. But the temple administration has come out with some clarification, which we can see in Organizer, that has come out in great details, and even in Outlook it has come out in some detail. But the Organizer story says that the temple administration had actually requested the president to come in, but the president herself kept off. She herself decided to stay out and offer prayers from outside. So now the onus is on the president to clarify why she chose to stay out. Did she choose to stay out because she thought that she was an Adivasi and she doesn't have any right to go inside? Did she choose to stay out because women are not supposed to go inside? I mean, what was the reason? What is the state of beliefs that prevented the president from going inside? That the president has to come out with that clarification. As long as she doesn't come out with that clarification, I think the debate remains open, because the temple administration has said what it had to say. They had requested her to get in. So let's not blame the temple administration upfront. We have to get something from the president. As long as we don't get anything from her, I think the debate remains open. But right, even if the president had stayed out for some regressive reason, then I think that is also problematic.
No, but do you think that the president is going to say that even if for some reason she has chosen to stay out, thinking that unnecessarily create a controversy, and she's chosen to stay out for whatever reason, but would she come and clarify on this?
I don't know. See, if this has become a big controversy, then see, if there were to be no controversy, I can understand she's not saying anything. But since this has turned out to be a huge controversy, she must come out with some clarification. If she doesn't, then she is not doing service to this cause. She has to, Rashtrapati Bhavan has to come out with some sort of clarification. Otherwise, people will be left doubting about so many things, which may not be facts, which may be just fictions.
Vivek, I want a little clarification. President Murmu, people said that during the Parliament inauguration building, President Murmu was insulted. She's the head of the Parliament and she was not there. There was no clarification from her in that particular episode. We didn't even expect that she's going to come out with a clarification. So why do we expect that President will say something now on this after the controversy has thickened so much?
There was no clarification even when the Prime Minister was walking ahead of her during that January 26 program, perhaps. When she, as Supreme Commander of the Armed Forces, she was the person who needed to be at the front. But instead of that, the Prime Minister was walking in front of her. Those kind of videos also had come out at that time. She did not choose to contest that. She did not choose to contest what happened at the inauguration of the Parliament when she was very much part of the Parliament, and yet she was, by definition, Parliament included the President, and yet she was kept out of that, and she did not protest it. So I don't see any possibility of she clarifying about this particular incident. But by not clarifying on such incidents, the President is not doing service to the country, because she is only allowing these debates and these theories to go on like this, and it should not be left in the form of a rumor which is spreading across the society. She must get the facts of the ground on the ground to the people at large, so that people know what exactly had happened at that time. But she is not saying anything about any such controversial incidents in which she was involved prior to this. So I don't see any possibility of she clarifying even about this particular incident. If she does, then I think we will get to know a lot of things. And maybe the story that has come out to us at this moment may not be correct, and there could be entirely very valid reason for her not to enter the sanctum sanctorum. But as long as she doesn't say that, we don't know what exactly the fact was.
Right. But Sanjay, if I may come to you, what is the way forward on controversies like these? I was reading Dharmendra Pradhan's interview to Op India, and he very clearly says that, if this kind of a propaganda is raked up against the highest constitutional authority in the country, then one would have to think twice on planning these temple visits. Now, do you think that future temple visits by presidents or by the constitutional authorities will remain clouded in context with the current controversy which has just happened?
First of all, any temple, or take it any masjid or any church, they have their own rules and regulations. I don't believe that any VIP, whether it's a president or prime minister or a minister or whatever, should treat it as a VIP. They are just normal. They should go as a normal people the way we are going, and just do the prayers. Number one is my belief. This is my thought process. Number one. Number two, when we talk about any such controversies happen, then from both the sides, suppose example is happened with Draupadi Murmu, then President House should come with the facts and clarify each and everything. Because just claiming that somebody has visited and not allowed is depend upon the person. Sometimes I do visit, go to temple in my area, and I don't want to go to inside the temple, and from the outside do the prayer and come back. So depend upon person to person. But again, I'm believing if any such controversies happen, then authorities, number one, means President House. Number two, temple authorities should come out and explain what exactly happened. And I think I would have been in place of President Murmu, then I would have come out and explained what exactly happened to close all the controversy which is going on at the moment. This is my belief. This is my way of thought process.
But Sriraj, just to avoid such controversies, what should the temple authorities now do? As what Pushprat said, that it is a collective duty of all the parties. It's not about Congress or BJP or any other party. But as a collective, what should be the way forward so that these kind of controversies don't erupt? People don't get a chance to say that, look, the Dalits are being discriminated. Why can't that happen from the temple authorities and whichever temple it is?
See, first of all, you cannot stop fake news peddlers. Now, you yourself said in
Why call it a
Lucknow.
fake news? Why call it a fake news? It is a stark reality that there has been manipulation.
No. Why are you saying the fake news? I'll give you the example. We
In
are
the past, if this
One
happened,
second, Sanjay, let Sriraj speak.
in the past, in the case of President Kovind also this happened, and it turned out to be fake. Now, as elections are approaching, this kind of stunts by this kind of people who have been spreading venom in the society to divide society.
Why are you only looking at this problem from a political angle, only from the elections perspective? I'm talking about the social perspective also.
There are two aspects. One is the statement should have come from the Honorable President's office. The second statement is from the temple. Now,
Right.
temple authorities have issued a statement, and which
But that's a
category?
half-hearted statement. If you look at the statement issued by the temple authorities, it's a very half-baked kind of an explanation they have given.
Right. So now it is the Honorable President. If first of all there is no discrimination in any temple. I also belong to South now. I stay in Mumbai. There is no discrimination at all. Any Hindu can walk into any temple, and every temple has its own rules and regulations that has to be abided by every visiting devotee. So there is nothing. But here there is a section of people. There is a section of people who have been spreading venom in the society, like the person whose tweets you are quoting about. He has been always saying that Brahmins are foreigners. They have come and intruded in India. The Dravidian and Aryan divide, all these stories are cooked up, which were cooked up in the past by the Britishers to divide the Hindu societies. Now these people have taken up. Now there is no divide. And moreover, Hindu society is the only society which is open for reforms, and we have been reforming from time to time. Unlike other Abrahamic cults, which is one prophet and one book, here Hindu society has always been open for reforms, and today also it is open for reforms. This are all this whatever the temple authorities has come out with the statement. It is absolutely convincing. There can never be any discrimination, and if anything is there, let the Honorable President's office clarify also about that. But the temple authorities have clarified, and it is convincing that there is nothing of any.
So you are saying that the onus lies now on the president office to say something and clear the air. But let me come to you, Raj, now for the final comments.
Niluji, let us not belittle the Honorable President's office by again and again dragging Honorable President into small issues. So it is not the President should give clarification for every petty thing.
But you say it's a small issue? You're saying it's a small issue?
No, issue, not non-issue, not small issue, non-issue. Non-issues, this is absolutely not. When temple authorities have clarified that there is no discrimination has happened, so there is no need.
No, but these incidents are not a non-issue. I'll give you an example of what Uttarakhand government has done, which is really exemplary. And I was reading it this January 2023 only. This is a first of its kind move where Uttarakhand State Commission for Scheduled Castes has asked all the 13 district administrations to compile a list of all temples and other religious places where Dalits are still not allowed. Now, if Uttarakhand government can do it, Pushpraj, I want to take the concluding comments from you and Vivek. Why can't there be a guideline or a protocol like this, what Uttarakhand government has done, and maybe other steps which can be taken so that these kind of things are not replicated? Why call it a fake news, as what Sriraj and Sanjay Rana are saying that this is fake, but they're not ready to look at it from the social angle. No, I'm talking about
who's tweeting? BBC, Mr. Mandal, those who always try to find out and divide the society. Only these guys are tweeting.
Okay, and BJP is uniting the society. BJP is all the time uniting the society. Sanjay, one second. Sanjay, your turn is over. Sanjay, your turn is over. Let me go to Pushpraj and Vivek, please. Yes, Pushpraj.
You understand who's tweeting?
Yes, Pushpraj.
Firstly, congratulations, Niluji. You managed to forge consensus amongst all the panelists across this political spectrum on the fact that there needs to be a clarification or statement from the president office. Yes. So that's a good thing. Second thing is, I don't agree on the need to give this a political color, right? This is not happening because it's maybe there are a minuscule proportion of society or a political party which is doing this for partisan ends. And I'm not really talking to them. They don't represent the majority. The point is, BJP also has patriots, Congress also has patriots, they abide by the constitution, and other parties also. Now the point is, if the first citizen of the country has been discriminated or excluded against, it is our collective responsibility to ensure that this doesn't happen. Not just because it's the first citizen of the country, because this is constitutional. That's the first thing. And the second thing is what you are arguing about, the fact that Uttarakhand has passed guidelines. Untouchability, discrimination, casteism is all prohibited by the constitution. There are statutes, multiple statutes that actually talk about that. So I don't think we need any new law or policy to actually reaffirm what the constitution and multiple laws are already saying. What we need to do is enforcement. Now the point is that you can't have, everywhere you can't do, dand se, you can't use the law, you can't enforce the law, especially in the case of temples and religions. You can't be penalizing temple administration. You need to have a structured, engaged conversation. If they are indulging in regressive practices, it is up to them to evolve that, because you can't force any religious authority to just end up giving up things. You need to give them that time to evolve. But having said that, I genuinely think that every temple body, every religious body, Hindu, Muslim, Christian, Sikh, whatever, needs to synergize their traditional practices and cultures as closely to the constitution values as they can. And in this, political parties can play a role in facilitating that conversation. That does not mean we should obfuscate the issue and whitewash social ills as if it's a political stunt. No one is denying the fact that social ills exist. All the panelists here know casteism exists, patriarchy exists, communalism exists, and all of them want to ensure that it ends. But we should unite in doing that, right? So let's stop by first let's stop calling it fake news. Let's stop calling it, Congress, BJP, Hindu, Muslim. Let's stop doing that.
Okay. Vivek, 45 seconds to you, and then I'm going to end the show. What would you really say? Because as you said, that the debate still remains open till the time the president office doesn't clarify. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely, Nilu. You see, because the temple administration has come out with its own explanation, and they have said that she was there well in advance. She was there 45 minutes prior to the Avahan process beginning. And
she was there for 5 minutes and she stayed for 45 minutes. Please again read that statement.
Yeah, whatever. She was there well in time.
Only for 5 minutes, but she stayed there for 45 minutes.
Okay.
6:30 a.m. in the morning. Seriously.
Okay, so she was there 5 minutes prior to the Avahan beginning, or 45 minutes?
She was supposed to be there only for 5 minutes, but still she stayed for 45 minutes. She didn't leave after 5 minutes, as committed.
Okay.
She left after 45 minutes.
Okay.
Now, if the temple administration says that she was asked to actually be part of the puja, and she herself stayed out, then she has to spell out the reasons for why she chose to stay out. Did she choose to stay out because she thought that it was not proper for a widow or for a woman to enter the sanctum sanctorum of Lord Jagannath, or she just chose to stay out because there was absolutely no specific reason for it, but she just chose to stay out for nothing? I mean, was that the case? See, why the onus lies on the president, it is because she should have actually entered the sanctum sanctorum and stayed there, because the kind of optics that is generated because of her staying out sends out a very wrong signal.
Absolutely.
I mean, if there was no reason for her to stay out, then she should have been very much part of the puja. By choosing to stay out and giving rise to these kind of speculations, she is only doing disservice to the whole debate of equality of women and equality of human beings and entry of Dalits and Adivasis into the temple. If she would have led by example by entering the sanctum sanctorum, it would have sent a very positive signal. It would have sent a very good news to the whole world. But what she has done is she has chosen to stay out, as the temple administration says, on her own. And by choosing to stay out for whatever reasons or for no reason, she has sent out a wrong signal. She has given a very wrong picture of the society, Hindu society. So the clarification must come from her. The onus now lies on her. And if the temple administration is not giving you the truth, then the president's office has to say something on that also. But since the president's office has not said anything about the temple administration version, and since it has not said anything about why she chose to stay out, I think this debate will rage on, and this debate will go on as long as she doesn't say anything. She has to come out with something. But even I will repeat, even if she has chosen to stay out for no reason, it has given a very, very wrong picture of the Hindu society, or maybe the right picture. We don't know what exactly is the truth. If there is a rule by which she has to stay out, and she followed that rule, she has done a wrong thing. If she has stayed out for no reason, she has done a wrong thing. She has to explain why she chose to stay out.
Absolutely. And all those questions are hanging. And we know for a fact that since time immemorial, the Brahmins and the upper caste, not to malign the upper caste or the Brahmins, but it has been a convention that the Brahmins have not allowed the people from the lower caste to step inside the temples. So it's all the more a bigger responsibility on President of India now to come out and clarify as to why she chose to stand outside the temple. Rather, the message would have been completely different had she entered inside. Till that time, the debate still remains open, but I'll have to end the debate here. Thank you so much for joining the debate, Sriraj Nair, Sanjay Rana, Vivek, Pushpraj, and one appeal to the viewers who are watching this panel discussion, subscribe to our channel, send us your feedback, and stay tuned to the Federal. Thank you.
Subscribe to the Federal's YouTube page for more news and updates.